All right, welcome in Buffs Nation. Another edition here of Voice of College Football, Colorado. I'm your host. I'm your host Manny. Again, appreciate you all for being with us tonight. Please make sure to describe, subscribe, like the video, follow on X or Twitter uh, at Manny76933725. So again, we're trying to grow this channel. So any support, any help we could give would be much appreciated. All right, so we're gonna, kind of the layout of the way the show's been going. We're gonna start with our Ralphie report, camp updates. Again, Ralphie report's gonna be essentially just the news and notes of the day, camp updates, recruiting, and today we're gonna be taking a look at the linebacker room there here at Colorado. So without further ado, let's get moving. So Ralphie report. So not sure if any of you guys have seen this, but Buffs hired Devin Ruffin as the assistant director of player personnel. I believe this was on Friday afternoon, I want to say. He comes from Eastern Tennessee State. He served as the director of recruiting there. Essentially, the reports that I have, again, it's hard to figure out a lot about these individuals and these, the ones that play the big scenes that happen behind the scenes. I say the big roles behind the scenes. He apparently really good, a star in the making, I guess. So we'll see what that turns into. But again, he'll be the assistant director of player personnel with the Buffaloes with Colorado. Caden Salter was added to the preseason Walter Camp Award watch list. So great news. If you're not sure what this is, this recognizes the most outstanding player in college football. It is voted on panel of head coaches, sports information directors. And again, these are all from FBS schools named after Walter Camp, known as father of American football, helped shape the modern rules of the game. And again, this is you have your Maxwell, your Heisman Trophy winner awards, and add the Walter Camp award list to it. And again, Caden Salter has been added to this list. So kind of how we talked about last week about Caden, the underratedness of it, I guess. There's not a lot of talk about him. But again, he is on this list, and again, expecting a big season from him. So let's dive. Yeah, me too. Real excited for the show today. So let's jump into some camp updates. Starts with the Mario Miller with just having a phenomenal camp. And again, this should be, it's almost kind of like we are a broken record every single day talking about him. We see play after play after play made by him. And again, if you were to, this should be no surprise for anybody that's been following the bus for the last few years. Again, the game against USC, the game against Kansas State last year, but had a great catch. I believe it was Ryan Staub that threw it, threw a fade to the end zone there. Easy enough. Went and got it, hauled it in. That was good on Sunday with 2 feet, but looks amazing. One of the freshmen. So Quentin Gibson, Q for 6. He had a huge catch at camp on, I want to say it was Friday. Yeah, Friday, I want to say. Threw it over, helmet came off, caught it behind his head, but hung onto it. Would have counted on Saturday and Sunday with 2 feet down, elbow down, whatever it was that went down first. But amazing catch. Great play by him, and expecting some big things out of him. We'll see him more than likely in the kick return, punt return, here and there on maybe in your slot out wide from play to play, but he'll have his own purpose there. But again, Max Preps player of the year last year. Really fast, really fast young man. Excited for him and what the future holds for him there at Colorado. DJ McKinney. So again, just the same kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier. O looks really good. Q for 6, made a huge catch. We look at DJ McKinney. People are saying, "Oh, look, he's getting burnt in camp." We don't know the drill. We don't know the situation. And again, it is camp. They could be working on a different technique at that point. Again, just kind of calm down. This guy is seen as a first-round pick, second and third, a top 3 corner in most mock drafts or sites that go over essentially ranking players scouting website. So I don't think there's a ton of worry there. DJ McKinney gonna have a fantastic year. Really looking forward to him. But again, just kind of we can easy to overreact, underreact. Again, not too high, not too low, kind of thing. So just continue to keep an eye with it. But it is great to see some plays made, and then some of the situations we don't know what's going on in camp. Tayon Parks, great INT. So basically, the video that was shown, I couldn't get a number for the receiver. Ball's thrown, and looks like Tayon Parks just comes out of nowhere, snatches that thing, falls. Fantastic play by him. Again, one of the transfers in. Expecting for him to get some burn as well this year, but made a really, really great play. Dallin Hayden looks improved, and again, that goes back to the show that we had last week about the offensive line. Right. So we want to sit here and say that the offensive line is much, much better. Again, that it's going to make your running backs look better. So Dallin Hayden out there, number 7, finding some humongous lanes to run from, run through. You have Seat and Zai on the left side that are opening up massive holes that you could drive a truck through. Again, that offensive line, the position I'm most excited for this next season, just because of the monster that has been built there. And humongous, left side especially. Julian Lewis, a couple deep shots that look great. Juju looks fantastic. I'm gonna say he had to thread the needle. Can't remember who it was intended to, but it was would have been a touchdown. They were, regardless, they're working up and down the field. It was in the red zone. But he looks fantastic. So really excited with his. They have a decision to make, which we will, in our position QB, our position breakdowns, QB is going to be one that is it'll be the last one we go over, and the most important, and we'll talk about what that looks like. But again, Julian Lewis, he'll see the field this year, and really, really excited for where the future is within his hands there at Colorado. Tyresius Davis had a great interception, fully spread out to pick off the pass. Fantastic play. Just basically went, cross dove like he was, in baseball, diving for a outfield, that's hitting the gap and you need to lay out. He lays out for it, picked it off. Fantastic play. And again, this is Tyresius Davis. He's coming from Wyoming. So again, another transfer there, and we'll get into the DBs when we get there, but one to keep an eye on as well. Recruiting. So let me pull up the recruiting chart that we have. We had a recruit over the weekend, Friday night. Let's get it up. Here is the news. So now that makes it's going to make 10 for the cycle now. So there's 10 total commits. The Ben Gula out of Cypress Bay High School, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, committed on Friday night to Colorado. It was between the Buffs and Central Florida, so UCF. My opinion, he made the right choice. Great decision. 6'3", 285 pounds, interior offensive lineman, ranked 1,142 nationally, and ranked as the 95th ranked interior offensive lineman in the country. And again, these are projections. These are the 24/7 composite rankings. So off of their website. What Ben had to say is what he told Rivals. I'm ready to be a Buff. I feel like I got swept off my feet. It just felt like everything they did with me and told me was genuine. I didn't feel like anything was going on behind my back. It took me some time, but I know where I feel good to be locked in at. He said the official visit to Colorado in the month of June really opened his eyes to the depth of Prime's program there. They have the most experienced coach. He goes on to say they have one of the most experienced coaches in college football, and Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator. On top of them having been together for so long, they've been able to create a huge offensive line coaching staff. Again, like we talked about last week, and Andre Giroux is now part of the staff. Played in the NFL for years, Pro Bowl center for the Dallas Cowboys. Just really, so again, real good recruit here. This is one that we'll see play in a few years, and just a guy that high, like we've talked about, high upside, low floor. So really high ceiling, low floor with these kind of guys that they're bringing in. And again, it's kind of the trend that if you start looking at the linemen that are being brought in, offensive tackle, interior offensive lineman, even the ones that they are targeting, they fit a mold there with Colorado, big and massive individuals. So moving forward, we're real excited for Ben to see what lies ahead. Now we go to some. Let's just talk about him a little bit more. His scouting report. So what I have Ben down as 6'5", 285-pound interior offensive lineman, elite run blocking ability. He had over this past season over 100 pancake blocks. Combines a powerful frame with disciplined technique, excelling at reaching the second level, controlling defenders in space. So entering his senior year, continued gains in lateral quickness and explosiveness will determine how quickly he can contribute at the power forward level. So again, like we talked about, it will take some time. It'll take some coaching. Again, the Buffs do have this. So make sure we're paying attention, watching him. Let's see. Question: Will the rebuild? Ethan asked the question: Will the rebuilt offensive line be able to provide improved protection and establish a consistent run game after past struggles? Yes, they will, absolutely. So again, like we talked about, this offensive line is massive. 6'3.5", I believe, and I had him at 332, 333. Essentially, what the offensive line weighs. And I think what you can see is Colorado getting back to being Colorado, how they were, when we were in the early 2000s, I should say. So we will see them looking like that. Big, massive offensive line, like when Andre Giroud was there. So the struggles that I do expect when you rebuild a whole offensive line minus one starter, which is Jordan Seaton at left tackle, the leader of the team, the struggles are going to be there with the chemistry. So, even last year we take a look at the first game, right? North Dakota State, old machine there, coached really well. Essentially a juggernaut in one of the juggernauts, right? In next division of college football, FCS. They are a really, really good team. We've seen some of those come out last year in that opening game. And again, Georgia Tech, the hope is to not see those. But again, it's just, especially on the offensive line, the chemistry, especially when you start looking at pass pro. That is going to be a struggle for the Buffs this next season, just to start. But once I think they get their footing underneath them, I think the sky's the limit for that group. And again, just massive size. So those are the struggles I expect. And the running game is going to take off this year. And I think that's going to be led by Michael Welch. He had a good year last year, dealt with some injury concerns. He was getting that thing moving, getting it going against Colorado State last year in week 3, the Buffs' third game. I don't know what we count. There was week 0, 1, 2, 3, but it was the game following Nebraska. So it was against Colorado State. He was starting to get things moving. Injuries happen, but he'll be back. He's much bigger, ready for the next step in his career. But I would keep an eye on him. And then Dallin Hayden looks great, the transfer from Ohio State a couple years ago. So that offensive line should look a lot better, as well as the run game. I think we're going to start looking more. So I don't want to say completely towards the run game at early 2000s. That was a different style of football. But with Caden Salter as well, you'll see a lot of read options and those kind of things that the defense will have to account for. Let's see. So upcoming commitments. So one that passed August 1st was Brett Coolidge, big time recruit, 4-star, 6'5", 320-pound interior offensive lineman. So originally from Littleton, from IMG Academy. Again, there's that pipeline where C seems to has been making a living. So they look at that school. It is becoming a pipeline. We have another guy that, again, from on our list today that we'll talk about from IMG. It came down between USC and Miami. The best I can say is, none of those schools wrong. I hope nothing but the best for Breck moving forward. But again, there's with the transfer portal, I believe I got to pull that number, but it's a really large number of players end up, hitting the transfer portal. So again, best of luck to you, but we'll probably see you in a couple years. Hopefully I do not butcher this name, but Dijdo Ba, 6'3", 275-pound defensive lineman out of Germantown, Tennessee, 3-star recruit, 810th national according to 24/7. 92nd D line in the country, 92nd ranked defensive lineman in the country. He has been offered by the Buffs. And so with these kind of things, again, the day and age that we're in college football recruiting, we look at he committed on Wisconsin on June 1st. But he is expected to visit Colorado and Penn State this fall for a game. Again, it is just kind of the nature of college football right now. You get these verbal commitments, and they're great and all, but to a point, they don't really mean a ton, like they used to. It isn't until pen hits the paper kind of thing, and they're in next year's camp. Next year's camp with the portal, everything like that. But it is a different beast. And right now, we're about ready to start entering flip season. So we'll have those updates for you as they come in. But keep your eye out on what's going on, who's offering, if they're committed, if they're not. Again, this is flip season. Colorado does their work during the season. That is when they land most of their recruits. So going into this year, they have 10 recruits going in. As of this date, I want to say last year, I don't think they had, if maybe one or two going into at this point a year ago. So they are ahead of it in terms of that. But again, Colorado lives in the transfer portal. Question, let me see. Can Caden Salter successfully take over a quarterback and lead the offense following Shedeur Sanders' departure? Yes. So like we talked about last show, Caden Salter, 4-star recruit, ranked 7th nationally when he came out, originally committed to Tennessee. He was again 4-star recruit, 7th nationally in the 21 class. He won the G5, essentially the G5 Player of the Year in 2023. Last year had a ton of in 2024 season had a ton of departures. I believe it was 2 offensive linemen, three different. I think the top 3 receivers left and the running back in the portal. So he had a down year, but again, it's a whole team effort. But this is probably the best talent. I shouldn't say this is the best talent Caden Salter is going to play with at the collegiate level. And how does Lewis breathing down his neck affect his performance? I think it pushes them, both of them. They're going to, again, we talked about CU has two players. There's that saying, 2 players at quarterback. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. This is different. This is a completely different, it's not like some of the things we've seen last year where you had 2 bad quarterbacks competing. And it was just kind of like, well, we're just going to throw one in there who's the better than, the least worst of the 2. So I think this is just a lot different. Lewis breathing down his neck. And again, we'll talk about it more, but they're going to end up splitting. They'll probably end up splitting snaps, maybe not 50-50, but we'll start to see that as the season goes on. You'll see Julian, because again, you have to account for 2 different play styles, right? The defense puts tons of pressure on the defense, the game plan that week. You have to plan for 2 of them. And then how to seize pocket for NIL and caps compared to other Power 4 schools. So there was a bill that was signed last week. I'd have to find more of the details by the president. I can't remember what was 110% in there, so I don't want to speak wrongly on it. But there's that $20.5 million cap. So what they were kind of proposing, this thing's a mess, though. It's like we're trying to hit a moving target. We can't till certain things. We're flying by the seat of our pants, and I think that's the best way to talk about recruiting and NIL. So we'll see, because there's a clearinghouse now that it has to clear. There's a ton of different things that have to take place. So it, technically it should level the playing field. The House settlement with the NCAA, the $20.5 million cap, and again, that doesn't just go for football. It is allocated at each school. However, so your football, that's always going to be your number one revenue generating sport. And again, what the president did was sign it. So I got to get more. I can have it for us later on this week. But essentially, it's to protect women's sports and the sports that aren't as revenue generating. Because again, a lot of the sports, I think it's men's basketball and football are the only 2 that generate positive revenue. Others are in the negative, where Title IX kicks in at that point. So we can talk more about that once. We'll pull that bill up later this week. And do they have money to compete with stadiums full of Lambos and other outrageous money. It just depends what we're talking. So again, Texas Tech, look at what Texas Tech did this past offseason. They seen this coming. So essentially, if you spent all this money, the 20 and a half million does not. So for your 2025 class, high school transfer portal, that did not apply to the 20 and a half. It is now this class 2026 in which it applies to. So Texas Tech seen this as this is our last chance to spend tons of money. Ole Miss did the same, and there was one more school that it was it's Ole Miss, Texas Tech, oh, and Texas, the University of Texas. Those were your top three that spent the most, and it was kind of I don't call it last hurrah, but a little bit of a last hurrah, spending all that money getting these players to go in there, spending outrageous amounts, saying it was done through the collective or whatever it may be. But there is I think again, it's how this is flying by the seat of their pants, trying to figure things out as they go. They're building it as they go. The best way to describe it is CU continue to grow its NIL fundraising. Yes, Rick George last week sent out an email. I'd have to break it down a little bit further, but they created something called the Arch at CU. It was in an email. I would look at that. That's a way to help CU. I know at the University of Colorado, they're trying to stay ahead of, kind of, I don't want to say, stay ahead of the NIL, the new rules that come out, the new regulations that come out. CU is really, really trying to stay ahead of this. So that is just something to pay attention to, as well as we navigate this space moving forward of collegiate athletics and NIL and those kind of things, the collectives, what each one offers, all those kind of things. And again, it has to be there's a clearinghouse through the NCAA that it has to go through. They do not want it to turn in a pay for play kind of thing, where essentially you get paid by the collective or NIL, whatever it is that comes through. So again, it's, you got to show up, you got to do this, like maybe show up for a football camp at the local, the local teams here. So for instance, they held one in Boulder, Denver, wherever it may be. That would be part of the collective NIL in which the players would receive their money. So, and we can break that down a little bit further. I'll put that down of something to talk about for Wednesday's show. But I think those are all great questions. Let's see, Christian Ward. So diving back into some dates. Christian Ward, receiver out of IMG, 6'3", 185 pounds. Again, here's that name again, that IMG pipeline. 531st ranked national player, 80th wide receiver in the class. Again, someone to look forward to. There is no commitment date as far as I could find, but he would be I would say by the end of the year, you might see him start flirting with that 4-star as well. And again, remember, these stars are interchangeable. I don't want to say interchangeable, but your 4-star has a bad year, move him down to a 3-star or vice versa. Again, I know that when you're ahead in recruiting, and these offers from these kids, there has already been contact maybe a year or two ago at this point, depending on the staff. But if they are barely starting to recognize a player right now, and let's just say you have Penn State that's been on them, Ohio State, Ole Miss. Odds are you're probably not going to land that player before their senior season. You are late to the party at that point. So there's one to keep an eye on, Christian Ward. And let's see here. We have another question. Let me see. How will Colorado match up against tougher Big 12? We're going to dive into a season preview before, in probably about 2 weeks from now. We'll talk more about that, but they are, again, really looking forward to this team. I think they're a better team. Does that a better all-around team? Does that equate to more wins? I'm not sure. Their schedule's a lot tougher this year. They have one of the toughest schedules in all of college football. I seen it was like 15th or 16th toughest schedule this year. They get all the teams, the players that were in there for the Big 12 title last year. So they get to play all of them. And I believe, and again, going to Utah, that's always a tough game. So we'll dive into that a little bit more in about 2 weeks. Next player we have is Joseph Pecco. So this guy, 6'3". Oh, let me remove something. 6'3", 310 pounds, from Oaks Christian in Westlake Village, California. He's the son of DeMonte Pecco. He will be, let me see, he'll be committing at the Polynesian Bowl, which is January 16th, 2026. I watched that a couple months ago, I should say, from this past January. Really, really cool. Live commits on there, just really, really cool. So I would encourage anybody that loves college football recruiting, watching these kids play. Really fantastic thing to watch. And it's awesome. Held in Hawaii. It was, January here, but nice and sunny there. So was fantastic. Real quick about Joseph Pecco, ranked as, so he's from Westlake Village, California, Oaks Christian. He is the 887th nationally ranked player and 99th in defensive line, again, national. So someone to keep an eye on. And again, UNC there with Bill Belichick, someone to keep an eye on. And again, Hunch tells you right, since his dad's at CU, that's where he'll end up. His older brother has committed as a junior college transfer, that you've seen from the list. So, right, you would think that that's where he ends up. But again, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Joseph Pecco. But again, that's where I would lean right now. I don't think I've seen any forecast or crystal balls or anything to where he's going to end up. Another one came on the radar, Amari Thomas. So 5'10", 187-pound running back, from Bluntstown, Florida. His national composite is a 4-star. So again, depending on where you get your information, what recruiting website you like, there's the On3 Rivals merger at this point. So essentially 24/7, I believe, had him at a 3-star, but he's a 341st prospect nationally, 22nd running back overall. He originally committed to Florida State. He has backed off since that. And what he said, he had some, I think it was last week, he said about Colorado, they've been coming at me hard. They have been talking to me, my mom, doing everything in their power to get me. They're talking about getting me up for a game in September. I like Colorado, even though it's a crazy far trip from home. It may be worth it to play for Coach Prime. So again, like we always talk about the Coach Prime effect, the Prime effect that's going on here in Boulder. They're getting these kids from Florida, and again, it's not like a 2 or 3-star recruit. This is, again, by the end of this year, he'll be a 4-star. So this is really big. Hopefully they can land this. With KJ Edwards, like we talked about last week, missed out on him, and again, same kind of thing. We'll see you in a couple years. Hopefully it works out for you, but right, the way that CU attacks the transfer portal. Let me make sure this is the last one. So CJ Sadler, this is one I'm looking forward to. This is the one that I hope the CU can land. So 5'10", 185 out of Detroit, Michigan. High school is Cass Technical, 118th ranked nationally, and he is rated as the 7th overall athlete. Rivals is predicting UNC, but CJ Sadler, he's looking at Colorado, Maryland, and Michigan. This is one, this would be a big get if they can somehow, if the Buffs can pull this off, would be really, really, this one would make me really excited. So hopefully they're able to land him. And again, these kind of guys, it's just crazy to think, 3 years ago, 3 years ago before Prime got here, we wouldn't even be talking about these guys. We'd be happy with 1 4-star like Preston Ashley. Man, that's a huge time get, and that would have been it for the class. Fast forward a few years now, Colorado's in on almost every single 4-star, 5-star. At some point, they're making decisions. CU's name is being thrown around there. Again, prime effect here, the Prime effect there in Boulder, here in the Colorado. Just really exciting times here at Colorado. So we had another question: are you scared when we match up with Sam Levitt? I have my own kind of feelings on him, but I think the one that scares me a little bit more is Jordan Tyson. The reason I say that is Cam Scadaboo is gone. So I know that he's seen as the best quarterback in the Big 12. They're coming off winning the Big 12, taking Texas down to the wire. What was it? A drop pass away, whatever it was at the end of that game. I don't know if I'm necessarily scared of the matchup. I do think we're going to see. I think Sam Levitt is. We'll see what he's made of this year. And again, that might sound a little crazy, but again, Cam Scadaboo was the team. That was the heart and soul of the team. So Interested to see again. I don't think Sam Levitt sucks. I think he's a very good player, but can he carry Arizona State to another Big 12 title, back into the college football playoffs? I don't know. So yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned on that. Uh, is a bowl game realistic? Yes. It would be a disappointment in my opinion if they do not make a bowl game. It would be a disappointment in my opinion if at the end of the year they're not, the last 2-3 weeks still competing for a Big 12 championship. This team has a lot more depth, a lot more size, a lot more athletic, and again, like we've talked about that, the star power is gone. The star power is gone, but they have a ton of good players. I can't wait to dive into the wide receiver, QB room, and the DBs. Linebacker today, where we'll talk about, and it is a whole it's a whole different kind of player now at CU than the first 2 years of the prime era. So if Buffs lose there, how does the locker room hold up? Just I think it depends on where that loss is, right? Let's just say they lose to. So the question is, sorry, if the Buffs lose early, how does the locker room hold up? It depends. So Georgia Tech loss, blowouts never feel good. So we'll see. We'll see. But I wouldn't feel good about that. But I do expect Georgia Tech. This should be a close game, one way or the other. But if you lose to like Delaware or Wyoming or one of those teams, that's not going to be a good look at all. You could be talking about this is going to be a rough season. Again, I don't expect for that to happen. Hate Pat Shermer, culture issues. Yeah, I'm sure. With the connections to as an offense coordinator for the Broncos years ago. But again, he seemed like he got some things figured out last season. And again, sometimes it's good for a coach to step away from a team and go elsewhere, and see kind of what they're working with. So I'm excited for it again. We'll see about Pat Shermer. What is it? The screens, all those kind of things. So yeah, so let's dive into and again, want to keep an eye on. Let's dive into where am I at? Linebackers. So I think this is one. Let me switch something. So the linebacker room. This is one that has been a kind of a thorn in the side there in the primary. And again, it is one that we, when we pull up our recruiting, Rodney Colton Jr., he'll be here, 4-star recruit, next season. But one that I think they revamped well. Let's go over Colorado base defense. Again, this is just the base 4-2-5 defense under Rob Livingston. Linebackers in this kind of setting need to be multifunctional, cover some slot, tight ends, fill gaps, rush the passer occasionally. Now they were solid last year. Could it have been better? Yes. Yes, there were some injuries that took place at the end of the year. There were right. You watched that game against Kansas at the end of the year that took the wind out of the sail. Felt like for me anyway, me and my family, my wife and I, it kind of took the wind out of the sail. I think I was mad at that. So alumni here of Kansas, I was really mad at them probably up until like a month ago at this point. So it was still that one hurt the most this season. But you watch that game, the second level. They were getting to the second level easy, and then there's a lot of missed tackles. And again, look at the linebacking room. That can't happen this year. If they are one to get, compete for that Big 12 title, culture change, those kind of things, and what's needed on from the linebackers there at CU. Against Kansas State, gave up 185 rushing yards. Again, wife and I were at that one. That one hurt. Right, the play out of the back. Yeah, DJ Giddens leak out. Shiloh was busted up on him. You're in your cover zero look. That was rough. That was really really rough. That game hurt too. So I guess the two Kansas schools this past year were tough. On me as a fan, I should say. So statistical. Yeah. Well, question was here about Martavius French. We're going to talk about him. So one I'm excited for. Statistical context. Colorado allowed opponents to rush for substantial yardage and key matchup. Again, placing the team near the bottom in Big 12 rushing defense metrics. Again, was not the best, but again, the Big 12 was loaded with tons of running backs last year. And again, it's flipped this year, right? When you look at the Heisman hopefuls, it's now all shifted towards, like earlier in the chat mentioned, Sam Levitt, Again, you have Caden Salter. You have from Utah. I can't think of his name. Coming from New Mexico, from University of New Mexico there in Albuquerque. They are. It's going to be it's going to be gauntlet. I think this year with the quarterback. So again, but that also goes to coverage skills, right? So leadership and depth challenges. So veterans like Levante Bentley. So he was good. He would light somebody up. But again, that some of these sometimes injured, sometimes struggled with his reads or whatever it may be. And then one of the biggest losses of the offseason was Nakai Green Walker. Nakai Hill. How can I get Nakai Hill Green? So he was one of the biggest losses this season, this offseason, transferred as a grad transfer to Alabama. He was second team All Big 12. His leadership, the way he plays the game, he was one of the guys that against North Dakota State didn't get a ton of burn, but then he kept going out there and kept going out there. And you were just like, who is this dude? Who is 41? Kept going out there, lighting somebody up, doing everything right. That is going to be a massive, massive loss this year. It will be felt. But again, what's kind of interesting is I was not really oh yeah, Devin Dampier, Utah, quarterback from New Mexico, can run, has some legs on him, so one to watch with Kyle Whittingham. We'll talk about that when we get in the season preview. But yeah, Nakai Hill Green. Why am I believe 41? He was on the team, really really good. But he's going to be the ones that one of the defensive leaders that is gone. I really didn't think though that he had. I really didn't think he had another year left. So I thought he was gone anyway at the end of last year. And then when he announced that he was entering the portal and then going as a grad transfer to Alabama, I was like, oh okay, well. Best of luck to him. And again, I just love the way he plays. Going to be looking for him when Alabama plays. So just to want to keep an eye on. The backup depth was minimal. Some of the in-game communication suffered, blown assignments in zone schemes or whatever it may be. It wasn't their strongest performing group last year, but again, they had two really really good players. And as you can see, we get into the departures. It's basically been flipped over. No real players with playing experience are coming back that was on the team last year. So again, like we talked about, Nakai Hill Green, gone. 82 tackles last year, 11 and a half tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 picks. And again, he was second team All Big 12. Transferred again, like we talked about, to Alabama. Again, heart of the defense last year, top tackler, communicator. And essentially the guy that kept run fits clean. His exit again leaves a massive hole, right? That you don't replace him, reload at that position. So Levante Bentley, so we'll see. Eligibility exhausted, so just no more eligibility left for him. Physical run defender, was a short-term, grad transfer year there. Again, his departure adds to the leadership gap there here in Colorado. Jeremiah Brown entered the transfer portal after 2024. So this is some depth and special teams experience now gone. A couple of the other losses, Jalen Wester and John Chaney Jr., both gone. And then there was one more that was lost. He's just no longer on the roster. What UTEP transfer in the chat? What UTEP transfer are we talking here? So if you could just put that in there, that'd be great. So what it means for 2025. So Colorado, they entered the season with 0 returning starters in the linebacker room. Rob Livingston and Coach Hart rebuilt this position almost entirely through the portal and incoming freshmen, again, mostly through the portal though. I mean, let's just be honest, through the portal. Leadership, communication, gap integrity. So I have to develop on the fly during camp that's happening right now. Hard reset for the linebacker room. Coach Prime and Coach Hart have to find their next heartbeat for this defense. And the ones that UTEP, Martavis, that's UTEP, not UTEP. Sorry, that is we're gonna get to him here in a second. I have him up next on my list. But University of Texas San Antonio is Martavis is from. So let's talk about some additions. So rebuilding the room from 2025. So again, after losing your, Nakai Hill Green, Levante Bentley, so they had to reload the entire linebacker room for 2025. So some of the players. So we have Reggie Hughes. So Reginald Hughes from Jacksonville State. When he came out, he originally experience with Reggie Hughes, so 6'2", 230 pounds, led Jacksonville State with 82 tackles, nearly 10 tackles for loss. He was first team all conference USA. So this is a really good player coming in. When he originally came out, he committed to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin and them down there. Was a one 4-star recruit, I think, by some of the recruiting, on 24/7 Robs. I can't remember. They kind of differ somewhat, but I believe one of them, if not two of them, had him as a 4-star. So the role, so you're probably looking at a Mike linebacker, signal caller, run fit anchor, veteran leader on the team. And then one that I'm really excited about, so I think that was brought up in the chat, was Martavius French from the University of Texas, San Antonio. He actually he took less money to come to CU. So this dude, I think he's going to excel at the next level at the power forward. He is going to have a big season. So 6'2", interior linebacker, strong reliability, versatility. He'll support Hughes, whether that be at the mic or slide into SAM packages. Third in the nation last year for tackles for loss with 16 TFLs. Again, really excited for this. Martavius French and Reggie Hughes. I know that, again, hate to keep mentioning it, but Nikhai Hill Green, that one hurts, but I think the Buffs may have added some, as a whole unit, are better. And these two right here, they're going to play a huge role to watch. Those of you who watch a spring game, it's kind of weird. You saw a linebacker running around with number 37 on. That was Martavius French, where it just seemed like he was making play after play, especially in the run game. This dude is a tackling machine. So someone to keep your eyes on, someone that's going to play a big role, as well as Reggie Hughes. Then they got Sean Myers, North Alabama, athletic, 6'1", 220-pound linebacker, sideline to sideline range. Again, this is going to be more of your outside linebacker fit at Sam or Will. And again, you'll more than likely see him in passing situations. Kylan Salter, TCU transfer. This is Caden Salter's brother. So he was at TCU last year. I believe he had some injuries, but you will see familiar with the Big 12 speed, 6-foot edge, hybrid, brings depth and versatility, likely rotating at will or sub-package roles. But this is going to be your guy that you see. This is going to be one of your guys that can, eventually he's going to turn into an every down linebacker. Really good player. Really, really good player. So that's one that we can look forward to now. The freshman. A freshman that is coming in, Mantrez Walker from Buford High School, Georgia. And again, if you follow high school recruiting, Georgia is one of the, one of the 4 states that is one of the best high school football states. They go up to 7A in football. Really, really great. I believe it was watched him last year in a playoff game when Carrollton was playing them. And again, that was Julian Lewis versus Mantrez Walker. Mantrez Walker had a huge game. 3-star composite by 24/7 and ESPN. But again, he was a 4-star recruit by Rivals. Named all region at Buford and helped team reach state semifinals, again, where they lost to Carrollton, which was Julian Lewis's team. Early enrollee who participated in spring camp. I don't know. We'll see. I expect him to get a little bit of burn this year. Just a really, really good player. I think the sooner you can get these young guys on the field, the better, if they are ready first. And he's one that I think is ready to play again. 6'1", 230. Who knows over the offseason, since he wasn't early enrollee, what essentially how much weight he's put on, how much speed he's put on, muscle. And again, Coach Schlese, again, he's doing a fantastic job. New strength and conditioning coach. So impact overview. So I think experience meets future. We talked about it last week. Rodney Colton Jr. We look at him. That is one of the guys for the future. Really good player. Really excited for him. Interested to watch him his senior year. And then again, you have Kylan Salter there. So these younger guys, or even with the year or so left. Hughes and French, so they instantly bring polish, situational awareness that replaces the void left by Nikhai Hill Green. Flexible packages, so again, that's where we talk about Myers, Salter, scheme versatility, and pass-heavy Big 12 matchups. Again, last year was not the norm for the Big 12. with all these great running backs that were there. Again, see you threw the ball tons last year. So future upside, Walker. Again, he played in 7A Georgia High School. You'd probably end up seeing him start in 2027 or have a very, very big role. Or sorry, 2026, he might start the following year, next year. He'll have a big role, but by 2027, he will be a starter on this Colorado team. So your projected starters. So let's go, because again, we're talking base defense again, 4-2-5. What I'm excited is you'll have at your Mike, Martavius French. He should be one of the starters, and then your Will, Reggie Hughes. I think those two are going to have a big year. And I'm really excited to watch these two. And again, they're both. So again, Reggie Hughes, grad transfer. Martavius French is a senior transfer. So we'll see that Martavius French. After this year, we'll have that grad transfer year. See what he does with it. But really excited for him. Just a tackling machine. Behind French, though, I think you'll see Jeremiah Brown. But I would say it's Kylan Salter, if healthy, he's going to get a lot of play this year. And again, it just depends on the situation in which the other team is in. Mantrez behind Reggie Hughes, you'll see Sean Myers and Mantrez Walker. And again, I think Mantrez Walker, you'll see him get some plays, but really excited for the future with him. Let me see. Draft stock. I think it just what I think is, what does Martavius look like? I would say depends on what he tests, right? So I know that that's hard, that's just a small piece of it. I think you're gonna have to look at some 40 times, the 10 yards, the all of the 3-cone shuttle, 20 yards, this 10-yard split. It just depends. So I think the performance, the when you watch him on tape, you say, "Wow, that's a good player." So that jump up to from UTSA to Power 4 football, I think he can handle. We'll see. Again, I'm sure it'll take a little bit of adjustment. The speed of the game speeds up, obviously, but I'm pretty excited to see. I would say just as of right now, you probably 4th through 6th round, somewhere around there. And again, that's just this kind of how linebackers are graded, this day and age with everything moving on. But I'm curious to see what he looks like in coverage. Let me see. How do character traits impact rankings? So I really wish that do they come into play when determining? I would say yes, they do, but that's a lot of the time, unless you're within the program, get to talk to these young men, even the head coach, athletic directors, family, to whomever, maybe friends. We are not going to know that because most of us here do not get that privilege of being able to talk to them, which is fine. So again, what I can say though is what Prime is building there in Boulder. It is just high character guy after high character guy. The minute that shows that that's not happening, right? We look at Cormani McLean, perfect example. And again, wish nothing for the best for him. It seems like he's turned a corner, but it was just Prime's not going to deal with it. And again, I think if there are some concerns, and Prime does offer, and they do end up there, I think he's a really, really good fit for those kind of players. Again, like, Blue Carter at Tennessee right now. It was reported last week he was kicked off the team. He's back on the team, or 2 weeks ago, however it is. I think he would have been a really, really great fit in Boulder with Deion Sanders, a guy that could play offense and defense. So it just depends. So I think you just kind of have to trust the staff unless you actually know these individuals. But I think character, they can impact it to where it's, essentially you go from, we're going to pull him off. We're not going to offer because of the character issues that are there. So I think that's just something to look at. It is what it is. And again, each staff is going to have this is where we draw the line. This is where we're not going to offer in this situation, depending on the character of each individual. And again, we don't know most of that information unless we're within the program. Yep, something definitely is special. It is cooking in Boulder. I'm thrilled for this season. Thrilled for the future of this program. So let's see. Move on. Position battles. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of position battles for the starters, but I think it's the guys that come in next. So Mantrez Walker, Sean Myers. I would say Sean Myers is probably going to, he's senior transfer behind Reggie Hughes. And again, that's situational. We may see Montrez Walker come in here and there, first or second down, whatever it may be. And then behind Martavius French, you'll see Jeremiah Brown, Kylan Salter. I think Kylan Salter will end up behind Martavius French. And again, I'm really, really excited for him. Yeah. Let me see. Gage Goldberg. So I would say, so he's a redshirt freshman. I have him down as a fourth string. So you're going to see him more than likely on special teams. And again, I want to say he's a local kid. If I was there, I can't remember, but yeah, I would say you're going to see him more so on special teams, and again, hopefully he gets his shot one day. Just continue working his butt off. What do you think about the possibility of flipping Tennessee O-line, cornerback, and Dion, Zion? Oh yeah, Zion, it's Ely, right? If I remember correctly. That is Jordan Seaton's team that they knew each other, grew up together in Maryland, I want to say. I don't know. There's tons of talk about that. I know that they were working out a couple months ago together. That would be massive. The number one ranked edge in the class. I'd be really, really excited for that if they could pull that off. That'd be the gem of the class. And again, he would, having him in London Merritt as your future edge players. I mean, that would be insane. That would be insane. And then, even Seton him get to play a year together. So I would be really, really, really excited for that one. So, but yeah, there's our linebackers. Let me see. Like Montrez. So coaching. So someone who gets a ton of heat, Coach Hart. And again, it takes time to build some things. It's not as easy as it looks. While we keep missing out on linebackers, we keep, I've seen, on social media, he's received a ton of hate. Like you need to land some, Hopefully, last week, Rodney Colton, 2 weeks, however long ago that was, landing Rodney Colton was huge for them. So hopefully that kind of starts to shift the narrative on him. But I'm excited for him. I think you keep rolling with them and see what happens. But you can almost argue last year he did one of the best coaching jobs with his position group, and basically nobody knew what to expect from everybody's seen the linebacking room is like terrible. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do there. But I'm pretty excited for the future, and he did a fantastic job last year. So big pictures, takeaways. So again, I think this linebacker room for sure has more talent than it did last season, more athleticism. Really excited for it. So it's built around, experienced transfers that have played a lot of football. Again, Hughes and French, getting those two dudes was massive. Within, the CU, Colorado Buffaloes, those who don't follow every day in, day out, they'll get to know these guys quickly. The first day and say, who is number 37 running around looking like a safety or nickel corner or whatever with that number 37 on. Just watch him. Even in the spring game, if you haven't, go back and rewatch that. He pops off the tape immediately. And then again, Montrez Walker, really excited for him. Kylan Salter. I think this group has right now, as well as some future to build for themselves in the linebacker room. So, and again, a lot more depth here, a lot more consistency. So I'm expecting a better room out of the linebackers this year. And again, it's not going to be easy to replace Nakai Hill-Green, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'm really excited for this group. I think they did a good job of replacing. And I think, here within, we got Rodney Colton coming in. We'll see what other what else they can do here at linebacker in recruiting. But I'm pretty I think they're going to have a solid group this year. Question was, do position groups like linebacker show any improvement in coverage ability coming into this year? Yeah, I would say so. They're more athletic this year. And again, you can even those packages that you can bring in with Kylan Salter and gosh, I'm drawing a blank, Myers. I think that's going to make a difference. They'll be able to cover in those passing downs where sometimes you're struggling, especially in the style of defense that Rob Livingston plays. Is you notice a ton of man-to-man, and your linebackers are going to have to cover regardless. So I think this group gives the Colorado a lot more versatility. You don't have to, you have your linebackers that are on the field for running down, passing that. You have all these different packages that you can mess with now. So I think so. So yeah, and again, it's excited to see the additions in the trenches that are offensive line and D line. Those are my groups that I'm most excited for this season. The linebacker room, though, is yeah, I like where they're at right now. Let's just see, going into last year, like we talked about, we didn't know who was going to do what last year. Who's the linebackers, who's playing here. There was Jalen Wester, with LeJontay Wester's brother. And again, he ended up transferring out, but we didn't really know a lot about Nakai Hillgreen when he got here. So I think we know a little bit more about these two, as far as I know. So any cornerbacks going to get H-back looks, just like the Chris Cooley role. Is that what you're talking about? Two-way. No, two-way is not dead. Isaiah Harge is still out there wearing the two different jersey colors. I can't remember what they have him in. Isaiah Harge, number 17. One to keep an eye on. He'll get some reps at DB, and then he's mostly, though, in the slot. So one that I was, again, Boo Carter, the one that it sounded like he was out at Tennessee. He would have been the one to play offense and defense, DB and wide receiver. But Isaiah Harge, take a look at him, number 17. And again, any of the videos you watch that are coming out of camp, he has a different color jersey on for that reason. So, but don't expect Travis Hunter. That is one of one. I don't know if we'll ever see another player like that ever again. The dude was just like, did not get tired. Hearing, stories about him, Travis Hunter again, running, they'd go and run 100-yard sprints or whatever it may be, gassers, whatever it was. And everybody else would be dying and he'd be out there just like having a good time still. So that was one of one. I don't know if we'll ever see a Travis Hunter ever again. I mean, hopefully at Colorado, but I don't think that was one of one at that point. But you'll see Isaiah Harge play. You'll see him lined up as a slot receiver from time to time, return a couple punts here and there, like he did. I think it was against Oklahoma State or Utah. I can't remember which game he returned a punt in, but he caught a pass and played a little bit of DB. So, but yeah, he would be the one that I would pay attention to this year. But with that, wrapping everything up for the show. Again, appreciate you all joining. Again, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Watch when you can. Follow me, Manhe 769-33725. Again, that's not a phone number. But yeah, just appreciate you guys all joining in. I don't see nothing else coming in through the chat. But again, if there's anything, tweet at me or I don't know, X at me. I don't know what it is. The Twitter thing, X thing. Send that towards me. Leave comments on the video. And again, follow at the VOCFB, Voice of College Football, on X as well. Again, every major streaming service that you have, your Apple, Spotify, make sure YouTube, again, what we're on now, just make sure you guys follow on there as well. But yeah, again, thanks for joining us. And, like always, go Buffs, baby.